Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today is going to be my spoiler-free review of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I've actually seen the movie 3 times now, and I actually really like it. I know this movie's been getting some mixed reviews, but personally as a huge Marvel fan, I thought it was actually pretty good. So the synopsis for the movie is Dr. Stephen Strange casts a forbidden spell that opens a portal to the multiverse. However, a threat emerges that may be too big for his team to handle. Now, I'm not going to spoil what that spell is because it's kind of a spoiler. I don't think they've ever really addressed it, but it does play a pretty big part in the second and third act of the movie. So guys, the way I'm going to structure this review is first talking about the main cast members, then I'm going to talk about the positives and negatives for the movie. So let's go ahead and start with talking about Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. I gotta say, I really liked him in this movie. He's just another example of perfect casting in the MCU. Like, he looks like Doctor Strange, he acts like him, his acting ability is incredible, and I just love that the MCU has such great actors. But for me, his casting is up there with like RDJ as Iron Man, Chris Evans as Captain America, and all those other big names. He is just such a presence in this movie, and I know it's not necessarily like all about Doctor Strange because of course there's a pretty big influence by Wanda in this movie, but I gotta say Doctor Strange's story in this film is pretty good. It's very hard to talk about that story without talking about spoilers, so I'm gonna have to keep it pretty vague, but essentially we pick up right after Spider-Man No Way Home, and he plays a pretty similar role that he did in the previous Marvel movies, like being a mentor to Peter, like in No Way Home, except in this movie he's playing that like mentor figure with America Chavez, and that's the next character that I'm going to talk about because this is the first time we've ever seen her in the MCU, and I gotta say this is a great addition. Really cool powers that she has, being able to travel across different universes, which I'm sure is going to play a large part in the future of the MCU, and Xochitl Gomez did a great job portraying the character. She brought a lot of life to it and a lot of fun, and I just can't wait to see her join the Young Avengers and just see what that chemistry looks like with the rest of the team. She's got a really cool backstory, and I really like the chemistry between her and Benedict Cumberbatch. It was surprising how good it was. Like, right from the get-go, they're together, and you just, you buy into that friendship and mentorship. The characters just have this really cool chemistry between the two. Both of the characters have tragic pasts, and it was just really cool to just see them interact with each other. But yeah, Xochitl Gomez did a great job bringing the character to life, and I just can't wait to see more of her. Next is Elizabeth Olsen playing the Scarlet Witch, because I gotta say, this was probably my favorite performance by Elizabeth Olsen in the MCU. She is awesome. Like, every single second she's on the screen, I was just so captivated, so invested in everything that was happening, and her character is a little bit different this time. She is more of a actual villain, and seeing Elizabeth Olsen go from like the hero to the villain is such an awesome character arc, and the fact that we've got to see her in multiple different films leading up to this just makes it even more satisfying and different, because like I said, we've seen her as a hero for the majority of her time in the MCU, and then just seeing her kind of turn into that evil character was just mind-blowing. It was just such an awesome performance, and she has one of the best, most coldest lines I've ever heard in any movie. People were saying this beforehand. They were like, she says this one line in the movie that's just crazy, and as soon as she said it in the movie, I was like, yep, that's exactly what people were talking about, because I literally got goosebumps. It was just so chilling and just so crazy, and I am never going to forget that line because it was just so damn good. We also get to see Wanda at the height of her abilities. Like, she is just next level OP in this movie, and this to me is my favorite performance of the entire movie. Elizabeth Olsen just, wow, great job. Alright, to the next part of my review here, this is the positive. So the first positive that I have written down here is the VFX, because the visuals in this movie was probably the best I've seen in any Marvel movie. Whenever Doctor Strange is on screen, you know you're going to get some awesome VFX, because, the magic that they've designed in the MCU is just really intricate and unique, and I really liked what they did with it in this movie. The film also has some of the best coloring that I've seen in any Marvel movie too, because I know a lot of people have been complaining. They're like, all the Marvel movies kind of look flushed out in the same, but this movie has a lot more color, and it just looks and just feels different, and it really helps to immerse you more into the movie itself, and a lot of that is thanks to my next positive here, which is Sam Raimi in the director's chair. I'm sure you guys know who Sam Raimi is. He's the guy who directed the Evil Dead movies and also the original Spider-Man trilogy with Tobey Maguire, and he really brings a new look to an MCU movie, because it really looks like Kevin Feige was just like, you know what, just let this guy do his thing, because we want to change up the MCU. We've had over 20 movies now, and they all kind of look the same and feel the same, so let's try to change it up, go for that horror movie vibe, and Sam Raimi does it. Like, his work on this movie, you can tell. The camera work, the angles, the zoom-ins, the zoom-outs, the horror vibes. Yes, I said horror because this movie is kind of scary in some parts, and I really, really like that, because before, a few years ago, they announced this movie was going to be like a Marvel horror movie, and they really nailed it. Like, there was a lot of creepy parts, there was a few jump scares, it just looked just really creepy at a lot of the times in this movie. But like I said before, that's mostly because of Sam Raimi just bringing a new directing style to an MCU film, and I really, really liked it, and hopefully this allows Marvel to just make that decision to allow directors to bring a new, unique style to a bunch of different MCU films, because in the past it looks like they're only allowed to do like a certain type of thing and just keep it within that box. But I really, really hope they go all out on different styles to make the MCU feel new and fresh. Another thing that I really enjoyed in this movie was just how violent it was. This is hands down the most gruesome MCU film we've ever seen. Tons of people die in this movie, and some of the deaths that we see are pretty insane. Some of them are so aggressive that I'm surprised they even made it into the final cut of the movie, but I really like those types of fight scenes, and I really like it when the villain actually does some pretty insane stuff, and I'm glad that they went all out on the violence for Doctor Strange 2. My next positive is the characters and the story. A lot of these characters have been built up over a ton of different movies. The one I'm definitely going to use for this example is Wanda Maximoff. We've seen her all the way from Avengers Age of Ultron all the way over here. She's had her own show and everything. Like, there's just a ton of character development there, and Doctor Strange's journey too leading into this movie was really, really great as well. And although the story is a little bit messy in some points of this movie, I still think it's very good, mostly because of all the backstory we've had in the previous films leading up to this one. I'm not really sure if I explained that perfectly, but essentially the story is strong, but it's not as strong as it could be. Now on to my negatives. Now right off the bat, I'm gonna say I don't really have any like blaring issues with this movie. My negatives are almost like suggestions to make the movie better. So the first thing that I wrote down here is that I wish the movie was a little bit longer, because this is a very fast-paced film. Like, right off the get-go, a lot of stuff just happens, and it just keeps going and going at a really fast pace, and I think they could have benefited from slowing it down in certain parts, especially when it's like, let's say for example, a very deep, heartfelt moment between two characters. Like, you almost want to take the time and just kind of slow it all down and really just experience that moment. But with this movie being so fast-paced, because it's only 2 hours and 6 minutes, you don't really get that time. So it's like the characters could be in that moment and then just boom, right away something else is happening, and you don't really get to just immerse yourself in that little moment there. I know I've said moment like 100 times, but I just can't think of another word to use instead of it. Sam Raimi also said that there is a cut of this movie that's around like 2 hours and 40 minutes, which I honestly wish we saw that one. And don't get me wrong, I really like this movie, but I think they could have benefited from that added screen time. The second negative that I had was the volume of the movie. Now, for some reason, some recent Marvel movies have had moments where the audio just isn't loud, and it's really, really strange. Like, I started noticing it in Avengers Infinity War. There was some parts where it was just like the audio was consistent, and then it was just like really low, and then it was consistent and really loud, and it's just very, very odd. For example, there's an action scene in this movie close to the beginning, and I was watching this movie in IMAX, so the sound is supposed to be just like crazy loud, and when Doctor Strange is using magic and just fighting someone, you would expect it to be, you know, just super loud and have like the seats rumbling and everything. And for whatever reason, the volume was just really low, and it kind of took you out of that scene, because you know it should be louder, but for whatever reason it's not. Now, obviously this could be a theater issue, but I've noticed this in a few different Marvel projects, so I don't think that's the case. This is a really nitpicky detail though. Like, I'm sure a lot of people didn't even really notice this, but as a big movie fan and just a fan of how films are made in general, I noticed this and I was like, this should be way louder. Like, this is a giant monster fighting a dude with magic, and there's stuff being thrown around and breaking. Like, it should should be loud in here. And for whatever reason it wasn't, so hopefully Marvel starts to realize this and just get like the sound mixers or something to just enhance that audio. But yeah, really nitpicky detail there. The third negative that I had in the movie was that there wasn't really that much multiverse in it for a movie with the title Multiverse of Madness. I expected this movie to be almost like a multiversal road trip film with America Chavez, Doctor Strange, and Wanda, but it wasn't, and I was kind of disappointed because with a name like Multiverse of Madness, you would assume, you know, the whole movie they're just going to different locations, but they don't. I'm not going to spoil how many locations they go to because obviously that would be a spoiler, but definitely not as many as you would think, which kind of let me down because I thought it would be really cool if they went to like a different location, let's say every like 20-30 minutes and just had to explore something there and then just keep going. I thought that was how the movie was going to go, and unfortunately it didn't go that way, but I still think it worked. Like, there's enough cool multiverse stuff in this movie to satisfy you, but you can definitely imagine how cool this movie would have been if there was just more multiverse in it. So that's all the main stuff that I wanted to get out of the way for the Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness movie review. Next up, I'm going to talk about the post-credit scenes. I'm not going to tell you what they are, of course, but the first one is a world-building scene, so definitely stay for that one. The second one is kind of a throwaway scene, but it's still pretty funny, so I definitely recommend to stay through the whole thing, all of the credits, in order to see this one. You are going to laugh a little bit, but you're also going to groan and be like, oh my god, I sat through, 10 minutes of credits just to see this. But yeah, 2 post-credit scenes in this movie. The next part of the review is going to be my personal rating for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I'm going to give the movie an 8 out of 10. It's a pretty solid MCU film, and I personally think it's in my top 7, maybe top 10. I'll have to go through all the movies and make a list and make a video of like a MCU movies ranked or something, but it's definitely one of the better ones, and I personally think it's ranked around maybe number 7 for me. I just really like the characters. Like, Wanda in this movie is just so damn good. The cameos are crazy, the action is awesome, the directing style is amazing, and like I said, I've seen this movie 3 times and there's a reason for that. I really liked it. So guys, that's it for my review of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Leave a comment down below of what you guys thought about the movie. I'm planning on doing a spoiler review for the movie too, so if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe. Other than that, thank you for watching this movie review, guys. I really appreciate it. If you guys enjoyed the video, please subscribe and join the channel. Lots of MCU content coming, and I have a lot of hot toy reviews coming as well. I think I have like 15 different figures coming in the mail in a couple of months. I'm also going to be unboxing the Scarlet Witch tiara. It's a Marvel prop. It's really cool, and I can't wait to put it in my MCU prop collection, so stay tuned for that. But anyways, that's the end of the video. Thank you again for watching. I hope you guys all have a great day, and I will see you guys in the next video.